Hi, welcome back guys to another unboxing. We're joined here today with...
I'm Alex AJ, the writer and director of Sickboy. DP.
Yeah, today we'll be doing a more special episode. We'll be doing some Battle Styles unboxing while we do a Q&A from our friends who asked some questions about Sickboy. So first question from our fellow viewer Javier Alfonso. Happy birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday.
Happy 20th, yes.
Yeah.
Was there anything we wanted to kind of film but didn't?
I can take that one.
Okay.
So during the script writing process, which Ari was a part of, he was like developing the story with me. I really wanted to have more scenes where we show Kevin with Jeremy and Nancy, or just Kevin alone, but like, you know, not so brooding. But ultimately, he's dealing with racism through the whole film. So, since the story's about that, we didn't have the time for that, which is okay.
From Julian Alfonso, happy birthday to you too. How did you pick your actors?
For our cast, we actually did not pick them ourselves. We had a casting director named Zaya, and he has this network of theater people across California. A lot of people that he's worked with and acted with. So he helped coach, and he helped choose the people.
Was that real spray paint?
That wasn't real spray paint. It was paint in that it turns into rubber. So it's meant to come off, which is the purpose of buying it, because I didn't want that to be permanent on my car, and I was able to get a good amount of it off the day after. Oh yeah. We use the car as a prop, by the way.
4C, Minky, reverse hall, sweeper, and
whoa!
Type of Coco V-Max.
Next question is from Darren Okada. Is this based on a true story? Well, this story is entirely fictitious, but it is based on a lot of real events that have been combined and reimagined to see what it would be like in today's atmosphere. So one of the main stories that happened in real life was the case of Vincent Chin, which happened in the 1980s when a white man attacked a Chinese man that he thought was Japanese and basically beat him to death in the parking lot. So to answer another question is, what if there was a bad ending? That was the bad ending. What happened to Vincent Chin is that he was murdered, and the attacker, he got away with it because the justice system failed. It gave him the privilege. What if the protagonist was a woman?
So we did discuss this, but it'd be pretty much the same story, since racism is not about gender exactly. It's more about race and culture and how some people are racist. But we did say that if the main protagonist was a female, she'd probably be more fetishized.
We would say that if the protagonist were female, then she would basically receive the same amount of hate, except maybe even a little different kind of hate, and she'd still be attacked too.
Probably same or even the worst.
Will there be a second episode of Sickboy? So we don't see Sickboy as a continuing TV show. We saw it as this one-shot short film. So yeah. I would hope that Kevin doesn't have to deal with Ronald again. That'd be an interesting story, but for now, there are no plans for a sequel. Are police actually not required to arrest harassing suspects? Here's the gray area. If it's the graffiti, which Kevin was calling about, it's his responsibility to actually clean it up. And he wanted like an immediate arrest, but they wouldn't be able to do that for him. Mostly because there's little evidence, and then the harassment, there's no proof.
Dark Energy, Gladys Score, Indeed, Phoebe, Relish, Esper, Blipbug, Reverse Holo, Electivire, that looks really nice, and a Holo Sandaconda. Dang.
My Sandaconda don't.
No.
My Sandaconda don't. How long did it take for you to write the script?
Whoa,
it took Ari like 5 hours.
Me?
We just locked him inside the room, and then he wrote 12 pages.
Dude, I wish.
So Ari and I, we got together, we basically outlined the story. That took about a week, and then I spent the next week writing it. It was a week and a half. I wrote 13 pages, had to cut it down to 12 pages because we were actually trying to do this film back in September. We started this film back in April again because we got Illumibly's budget and help, and the rewrites took a few days, and then we had the final draft ready for the cast to read.
Also from Margot, how do you think films and media will affect racism. It'll take a lot of effort to remove racism entirely, but what can we do to stop the hate? So always films and media, they do bring awareness to people who may not really understand.
Licky licky.
What we all can do to help is
Stop
to
Asian hate.
stop Asian hate. Like
it'll take more than a hashtag.
yes, educate your friends, your family, get them involved in community efforts to just spread awareness.
How did the non-Asian people in the cast feel about the script and everything? So we had our lovely actress, Corinne Kelly. She played Nancy, who's the nice neighbor. She was really enthusiastic about her role in the script and the message that this story gives, which is about stopping Asian hate. And then for Ronald, the actor, his name is Blake. He made it clear from the beginning that he's not actually racist against Asians, but he took his role to like the highest level possible, and he made his character someone that everybody hated. Everybody already hated it based on the script, but his character, his acting, his portrayal of other racist people is actually pretty real. I would say that when I was writing this character, I couldn't believe that a person would be motivated to do this. And then I kept hearing on the news that there were these anti-Asian attacks taking place, and it didn't faze me anymore. It felt like, oh, I guess that's just the way that people think. Besides sharing this on social media, what do you think we all can do to help? Something you can do is you can donate to organizations such as Advancing Asians for Justice, because with those organizations, they group together and they're able to spread the message about what people can do, and they also take down like legislation that is racist and try to push for legislation that protects other Asians against hate crimes. Also, educating is the best thing you can do, because the more people understand what hate crimes are and are able to define it, the more likely they are to say, hey, something's wrong and you shouldn't be doing that. Another thing that was happening with when the elderly Asians were being attacked in America was people would offer to walk them around the neighborhood, walk them down the streets, because just grouping together will deter other people from attacking.
Our next question comes from Aaliyah.
My cousin.
How did you guys film the chase scene? This one was really fun to film actually. I had to be sat down in the trunk of a car with the gimbal. We had Oscar and Blake, who played Kevin and Ronald, running towards the car while I was in the back seat, or the trunk, with the gimbal just pointing outwards, and they're running towards it. It took about maybe 3 tries, but it ended up to be a pretty dope scene. Did you come across any challenges while filming? So many. There were issues that are like lighting. There was one with the 360 scene in the car. That was one of our favorite scenes, but we had to last minute improvise. But with the help of our assistant shooter, Harsh, we were able to pull off that scene really cleanly. We did shoot over schedule, but that's how shooting works,
Victory bell.
We went through our first ETB, looks like. What inspired you to make this film? Yes.
Well, that I can actually give a very definite answer for. What inspired this film was because originally we wanted to submit this to a Chinese American film festival. At first we were coming up with ideas for a romance short film, somewhat in the line of what Wong Fu would do. But ultimately we scrapped that because I came up with the idea. I told Ari, what if we do one about the anti-Asian hate that's going on? And this was actually the idea back in August of 2020. So it's based on what I was seeing in the spring of 2020. People were harassing Asians just because they thought that the Chinese brought over the coronavirus, but they were harassing the Chinese who lived in America and hadn't even been to China in a while. I heard from some of my friends that they were yelled at in the parking lot by drunk people saying that, watch out, they have the coronavirus. So I thought that if something is real and hasn't even been seen in film yet, why not portray that and show more awareness for it? Were there any other movies or films that influenced this film? Again, going back to the Vincent Chin case, there was a documentary that we watched in Asian American Studies class that blew my mind because we didn't hear about this in high school. Why were we being taught this at a college level? And only if you took Asian American Studies. That's not right. We should be learning about this in every history class. So that was a documentary film that inspired this. Also, the Wong Fu Productions miniseries called Yappy. That sort of exploration of racism is what inspired me to put it in a project such as this. You can talk about it all you want, but if you put in a story, it's something that people will more easily remember. That's how I've learned a lot in college, is if something is told in a story, it's easier to retain. Any other films? I feel like we were unintentionally inspired by other films in the way that we shot.
I want to say this, especially the 360 scene of the car. That was more of like a horror jump scare sort of feel. We wanted to kind of jump scare the audience, I guess,
because it is horrifying, like the events of the film. This is gonna make you groan, but Citizen Kane, when the ice cream drops, is sort of like inspired by when the snow globe falls onto the floor at the beginning. I almost forgot. So there's this film titled Gook, which is about the racism between black people and Korean American people, and something that happens in that is that one of the main characters' cars gets graffitied with the word gook, which is a derogatory term.
Cubone, Frillish, Blipbug, Roly-Coly, Reverse Hologligar, and a Holocolossal.
Were there any people who saw this being filmed and wanted to step in? For example, the car being sprayed. Did anybody say anything about that? Actually, nobody said anything about the car being sprayed, which is actually kind of concerning because my car being sprayed, I would want someone to step in if someone saw that happen. But
yeah,
I made sure that we had like a group of people around us, like we had the whole crew and cast there while I was spraying it onto the car. Blake also helped me, so he was kind of in character for that. People would walk by when we were filming the confrontation in Niles. They would drive by slowly because they saw the graffiti on my car, and then they were wondering if this was an actual scenario. I think they also saw the film equipment, so they knew that it's like a production happening. But I think they were interested, but no one really interfered.
From Neha Dada, what did the post-production timeline look like?
I can answer that one.
Yeah, so you know better.
The post-production timeline was actually really quick because our last day of shooting, do you remember which day was? Was it like the 28th of April? 27th of April.
Yeah.
Because we finished on a Wednesday, and what happened was we gave all of the footage to the editor, and
lovely editor Reed.
Yeah, shout out to Adrian Naria.
Oh, you got it. Okay. 1, 3, 4. Yep, he helped us. He was able to get all the footage and edit it immediately in like what, a day or 2 days?
It took about 2 days to edit, and then
edit,
and then I gave him notes with Rishi through 2 more cuts.
Yes, and he was able to just, how do I say it? Like revise right away. And
whoa! What's this? Yeah, so basically what we had to assemble in the post-production was the credits and the logo, and I edited the trailer and the posters so that I could create some hype around the project, and ultimately we were able to release it on Saturday. It was planned for a Friday release, but we had some issues with the computer exporting the file, but we got it out, and to this day we're nearing 350k views. Woo!
We saw Phoebe and yep.
How many days did it take to shoot? So in the beginning, our producer was a little optimistic. 3 days of shooting, and they were about 12 hours, 9 hours I want to say, and then 11 hours. So it was, they were full-on work days each day. We were tired. Thankfully, after the first one, we had 3 days in between where we could rest, and then it was 2 days back to back, which wasn't actually that bad.
Our lovely cast and crew were very patient with us.
Yeah. We couldn't have asked for more patient people, honestly. How did you choose the film's music? So, as the director, I worked with the editor and gave him some tracks. One of the ones that we featured was The World Is on Fire by Vince A. He wrote this song last year in 2020, and it was about just how there's so much racism and so much hatred going on in the world. And I felt that the message was broad enough to where it could also talk about the events of this film. So that's why I asked for his permission and we put it in. Another one was in the middle of the film when he's driving to Niles for his second day doing door dashing.
Sorry, I'll hit here.
Okay.
You see it? Last nice one. Another one! The second one!
We got a hit!
Okay.
And speaking of hits, we had a hit song from my other friend. He goes by Kai Kala, and his song is called Anayuk, and is really like, I wanted to have like loud rap playing because it tells more about his character, that he's just another teen like any of us. As for the music that didn't have lyrics, we used songs that were royalty free. So our editor Ree actually put in tracks already. So the track you hear at the beginning when he's door dashing, the track you hear when he's walking around, all of that music he put in there first. And then my film classmate had a whole library of music that we could use. So I picked some songs that I felt were heart racing. They would make you feel really stressed during the chases. So it's basically music that I think Hans Zimmer would write for a Christopher Nolan film, if Christopher Nolan did a film about anti-Asian hate. So choosing music was honestly a really fun part, and I'm glad that Ree was able to make it work. What are some learning experiences you've taken away from this project?
Obviously, shooting our first film, I guess our first short film, him being director, me being, I guess, director of photography. Oh man, it was so much to learn. From setting up, from directing, I guess, the actors, directing cameras, getting different coverage, going over a shot list, communicating with the script manager. Timing was very important because we would always run out of time. But like we had our shooting schedule, which was, get this many shots done, get this scene done. It was a huge learning experience. And we're glad that we were able to work with other people like from Lumuli, and they helped us with our short film. And we definitely have a lot more to learn, and we have a lot to bring to our next short film or feature film.
Look out for it. Yep. But that's not the end. It's not the end. We still have some cards and Q&As to go through.
That's the last
we don't have any cards to go through, but we do have a few more questions. Just bouncing off of the learning experiences part. One thing I learned is to be very flexible when it comes to the shot list, because we ended up having to change the shot list on spot. Filmmaking is about problem solving with a group of people, so it's what you learn in school, except for a film, everybody wants to be there, and everybody's time is so valuable because they're getting paid for it. At least on our film, we're all getting paid for it. So being efficient is definitely something that we learned, because if you set up a shot, you don't need the actors. So we ended up having to take a lot of time to set it up, which we wish we had more time for, because scheduling a film is always going to be hard because you want to be optimistic, but it's better to be pessimistic, to think that something will go wrong so that you have time to adjust. Even putting new things in that you think would feel right. Because the script can be edited. No one's gonna read the script beforehand and then say, oh, that line wasn't right, what the actor said wasn't right. So we actually gave the actors some freedom to ad-lib some of their lines. What's a fun memory you have filming it? Well, on top of the whole experience overall, like getting a first short film out, that was really fun already. But it was right after we wrapped, and it's really funny. We had to Foley in the running and the breathing. And so what we did is we just held the microphone, the boom mic, near the actors, and we had Blake and Oscar running around it, and they were actually like pretending that they were playing Duck Duck Goose. So it was actually really funny then. And they're also like dancing in the garage after a set. So those were really positive experiences. We didn't even use that Foley. We actually had to redo it so that the mic was in front of the both of them instead of having them circle around it, because that's another learning experience.
I guess I really like the working with the gimbal. That was really fun. like the car chasing scene and the car coming up to Oscar or to Kevin. That was really cool.
It looked great while we were shooting, and it looked even better in film.
Yep. How did the creative team accommodate the actor's specific Asian races?
When we had Oscar cast by Zaya, one of the concerns was that the original intention was for him to be Taiwanese, and also that Oscar was half white. We were wondering, would this antagonizer actually attack him on the street? And I was thinking, yes, because there's still xenophobia around. So by having him say Japanese lines instead of Mandarin lines that were in the script, we thought that there would be a person out there that would hate a person who's not speaking English. Being biracial is also a struggle that I hear about from my friends, because they feel that they're either not white enough or they're not Asian enough, so they don't belong in either category. So that's also something that we really wanted to touch upon. Mostly this was about the anti-Asian part.
I have a last minute question from Michelle Cheng in Canada.
Hello from California.
I feel like you already answered part of this question, but is there any reason that your team chose a protagonist with a mixed heritage? In this case, Oscar was half white, half Japanese. Yeah, originally we did have a fully Taiwanese actor. We ended up having to settle with Oscar, who was Asian. It did actually make the script a little more interesting.
Also, during the casting process, Zaya had multiple Asian American actors apply, and as it turns out that Oscar was the main contender based on his acting abilities. So for Oscar, being biracial isn't something that he can control, but what he can control is his acting. And so I'm sure that Zaya saw a lot of potential in what he can do with the character. I have a question for you, Ari. What was it like being able to DP a full short film for the first time too?
And it was stressful. It was like really nerve-wracking because like it's a film with a very serious message that we felt from our hearts we wanted to get across as efficiently, as smoothly, as cleanly as possible. And me being the director of photography for that was obviously really stressful for me, but it was overall very fun and I felt like I learned a lot.
We also had like learning experiences, like Ari would use new gear that he wasn't as accustomed to, but our second camera, Harsh, shout out to Harsh, you're amazing, you helped out a lot on this. He taught Ari a lot about using a rig and second monitor, and also with the lighting too.
How do you think it turned out? Did you like it?
I'm very proud of the way that Sick Boy turned out. The views are pretty cool. Those are like a bonus to me. Like if this film had like 100 views, I'd be okay. But since we have such a large audience from Illumably, I was excited that we were able to spread this message that it was just started in his backyard actually. But we're on like thousands, hundreds of thousands of phone screens, tablet screens, and even TV screens. And I'm hoping that one day we'll be able to get our films up onto the big screen. So how I feel about Sick Boy overall is that great cinematography, great editing, great acting,
great directing.
Thank you, bro.
Great screenwriting.
Pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back too, because he helped with the story too. I just think that Sick Boy is a film that I feel like is better than anything that I have made ever.
And this is only the start.
This is only the start. Baby steps. Thank you guys so much for watching us unbox cards. And thank you to everyone who submitted questions, because we had a great time answering all of these. We'll plug our social media really quick. I'm at RealAlexAJ on Instagram, and I'll be having music videos and short films coming out.
Wrap up with full of the video. By Alex AJ. Thank you for joining again, and
as our actor Ron Munakawa said, Jamatane. Alright.
It's a wrap!
Yeah!